Here we are.
Oh, we're back.
Some would say, have we ever left?
It feels like I haven't.
3 of the 4 of us looked around like we just appeared in this room.
Like existence doesn't happen unless the microphone is picking up audio.
Well,
Hello.
frankly, I've just been sitting here for hours naked, waiting for you guys.
And you are...
Excited to
remember.
be here, can't you tell?
What? Where am I?
Chris, you don't live here anymore. You were just sitting in John's house.
I mean, you
Correct.
come in here randomly, so...
That's true.
As long as he puts the paper towels down, I don't care what he does.
Have we told that story on the podcast?
Yes.
We
I
have?
don't remember.
Yes.
What episode? Tell me now.
It was like 12.
12?
Yep. Somewhere between 12 and 14.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna go verify that.
Right.
Oh.
Mm,
Yep.
mm.
It's one of those 3 episodes.
You didn't do the thing.
Welcome, everybody, to In the Buff.
All right,
We've got
all of it
me,
is-
Chris, Scott, Cody, and John today. And we'll be talking about some comments with Cody in Cody's
Yeah,
Corner Comments.
We don't have very many, so let's get through these.
Is that it? And then we're done for the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I have autograph signings to do.
really?
what?
Yeah, it's crazy, you know.
What's happened?
He calls it autograph signing. He's just signing, like, divorce papers. So-
Question.
I had to take out a loan.
When we're famous enough to like sign headshots and hand them out to people, are you gonna sign on your on your forehead?
5 head.
No, see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get so nervous I'm going to start perspirating. So I'm just going to dab my finger and
Oh my
sweat.
goodness.
And that's going to be how I sign.
Perspirating.
It's a scratch and a sniff.
Did you read a book recently?
Well, I made it 2 chapters into the way.
It's been a year, but
Speaking about books, we're all starting a little book club ourselves that
We're all...
Oh, yeah. John will be a conscientious objector.
I hope you will finish it, Chris.
I will.
I don't think Cody is going to start it.
I'm going to start it. I'm probably not going to finish it. And that's very freeing.
It's 700.
In fact, it's so freeing.
700 pages.
729 pages.
In fact, it's so freeing that I might not even start it.
Right. There you go. Comments, huh?
Yeah, let's get through these.
Weak
So, Celestial Mirror Guide, Final
Uh-huh.
Fantasy X. Andrew Nelson says, nice, thank you very much. Are any of the items you get from winning the Chocobo race useful? Should I try to get them or just get the mirror and dip? I'm
Good
pretty
question.
sure
Good question.
that's in relation to the mirror. I don't think any of the other items in the Chocobo race at Remium Temple, which is, I think, who he's
Somebody
referring
want to
to.
respond to that in the comment?
I'll take care of it, yeah.
Great.
Good.
Fantastic. Long comment from Rabinaster90 on our Omega Ruins guide video. Hey, if you haven't seen that newest video in the Final Fantasy X walkthrough playlist, go ahead and watch that after this. LMAO, the first time I entered here, I was like, oh cool, found something interesting. Then the first few battles, I was like, WTF, OPAF. Then died. A lot. I haven't completed or fully explored the Omega Ruins, hence why I'm here. FFX is a great classic and my personal fave of the FF series. Scott just made a face after I read that.
The exact opposite face is being made in this corner.
When I first played on PS2, I ended up giving up but I don't know what that means. It might be an acronym. But with the remastered FFX, I'm gonna finally bet this MF Omega Ruins once and for all.
God bless you, Rabinaster90.
And good
you
luck.
go do it.
Comment.
With your help, he can.
Or she.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
The profile picture is of some anime character of indeterminate gender.
That's true.
Most anime characters are.
Yeah. Hence my frustration.
I think that's just Cody's excuse for
That's
saying that he wants to
my-
fuck Goku.
My
Goku, you say?
Nothing indeterminate about that, man.
Well, I got news for you. I already shared it on the podcast once.
Which was?
The Goku story. It's
Oh, the
that's like-
Goku story, yeah. The thing, though, John, unfortunately, is you are not actually Goku. John just made the same face Scott did over here a minute ago.
Incredible.
Final comment on In the Buff, episode 38, the most recent
It's
podcast
Kyle,
episode.
It's Kyle.
It's not.
What?
It's a longtime friend of the channel, D. Lee Griff.
Oh,
He said, not a topic touched, but 7, 10, 8, and 9 in that order.
Star Wars?
So I read this.
No, there's not 10.
Right?
I'm pretty sure. Go ahead. I'm pretty sure I know what he's talking about.
I couldn't determine if it was about Final Fantasy or if it was about Dragon Quest.
Oh, I see. I thought it was Final Fantasy, but I think we only
It's-
talked
yeah,
about Dragon
Well,
Quest.
I
he
think it's
did
in the
mention
series.
Final Fantasy X a lot.
Okay, we might have talked about Final Fantasy. I thought he was talking about Final Fantasy.
There's no fucking world in which a person says that Dragon Quest 7 is better than Dragon Quest 8, 9, or 10.
All right, so
Sure.
let's say Final Fantasy. then.
I don't even think 9 or 10 got released in the United
Yeah.
States.
I would say I could see that being an understandable order for Final Fantasy, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people rate
Yeah.
7 over 10, but it's always those two at the top.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
What did
that's
you say,
it.
7, 10, 8, 9?
7, 10, 8, 9.
So it would have been Cloud,
Titus,
yeah,
Squall,
and then Squall.
and then
Some
a character from Final
boy.
Fantasy
Oh.
9.
yeah.
Went out of his way to call it Titus.
Yeah, no. I will only know him as Leon because of Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts, yeah. I remember me calling him Squall one time when we were kids, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're not mad at me.
You fucking retard.
Yeah. Like, that's how I thought his name was. I thought that's what he's called. I don't know.
Imagine having a bitch ass name as Squall be your main character.
Yeah, sure. Squall. That's a bitch ass name, huh?
Yeah.
We never got 8, but we had a demo of 8, and it
Yeah.
was pretty fun.
Great.
Great.
It's the
We are
Leviathan.
so insane.
The Leviathan graphic was really cool because the water serpent would fly up into the air, and then this mountain would form underneath it, and then it would
You want to do
release
that
a
motion for me
waterfall.
one more time?
Up and up. I'm like hoisting a giant dildo
Yeah.
with this
Right,
motion.
right.
You know,
Okay.
I had a demo of Spyro the Dragon once. That was
Yeah?
cool.
Oh, so
Is
did
that-
I.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I only played the first level.
Oh.
I think it was. I can't remember which level it was. It was like one of the desert levels. It came on this like PlayStation demo disc.
See, we had these Pizza Hut demo discs because we couldn't afford real games, and our uncle had gotten Pizza Hut and got them for us.
While we're talking about demos, John had a demo for a Silent Hill game that he and I tried to play once. We were like 7 or 8, I don't know.
Oh,
no!
yeah.
But we were like
Oh, no!
too much of a little bitch.
It was Silent Hill
again.
2.
It was whichever one, it was the one with the hotel room, right? Silent Hill 2 is like the good
Oh,
one.
no. Yeah, that was Silent Hill Rooms.
Oh, I thought it was Silent Hill 4.
Whatever the number is. But we could not do it. It was a
was
demo,
creepy. There was that hole in the wall.
and we were scared to look in.
What?
We
It was
didn't want to look out the
terrible.
window. We were too scared to look out the window, and then we just turned it off.
Yep.
And probably played Guitar Hero.
We were too scared to progress the game.
Guys, there is no difference between how you're describing yourselves at 7 and me describing myself playing a scary game now.
Yeah.
I saw how you handle Blue Knees, and I was not impressed.
I had a very similar experience the first time I played BioShock. I was
Yeah.
about 12 years old, and that opening scene with when you see the first splicer, it just really got to me. And I'm like, nope, can't do this. And then I was describing it to my parents. I'm like, hey, that game you got me is really scary. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, let me show you. And I brought my Xbox out to the family room and just hooked it up. And they were not impressed.
Oh, incredible.
But and then I'm like, well, I was alone, and it was
remember.
dark. You know, it's a different experience.
I remember I was playing Silent, like my brother was like, hey, let's sit down and play a scary game together. And I'm like, I love my brother. I want to do everything I can with my brother. Because he's like 10 years older than me. He was so cool at the time. And he was like, yeah, let's play Silent Hill 2. And he's like, here's a controller. And we were playing upstairs in my house, in the room where like I always got this really weird, I was being watched feeling.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to go downstairs and grab some drinks. You want one? And I'm like, yeah, I'd love a Mountain Dew, man. And he
No.
didn't come back upstairs.
No.
And I was like in this restaurant room with like an NPC, and some weird naked bird thing fucking bust through the window. And I just started screaming and blasting and screaming and blasting. And I just like unplugged the game real fast and started crying.
Oh. There was a very small window of my life where, and we were talking about this recently, and I erroneously said Perfect Dark. What I meant to say was GoldenEye. GoldenEye was my very first FPS, and something about just, there was no disconnect. I was James Bond, and it freaked me the fuck out for about 20 minutes. And then I'm like, oh, get the fuck over yourself. But that 20 minutes, I was just like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. I think I'm too much of a wuss.
Dude. I love scary games now.
Do you really?
I have started to grow actually into them. Back when we first started the channel, I was like scared to... I was embarrassed to play them, really. Because it's like, I would feel vulnerable.
Right.
And now I'm just kind of like, if I scream, I scream.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
I will have you know that just me thinking about it right now makes me want to cry and retch at the same time.
I loved playing Madison with you.
Watching him try to turn around in that hallway, I wish we had that footage, man.
Dude, it was some of the best stuff. I can't remember if we told you, but I snuck Scott into the Discord and then hid it under the game. So when we put the headphones on, like, Scott would make his own little noises.
I would go like,
and there was this hallway scene where, like, we go down this long ass hallway, this old, like, retro style hallway that has, like, the stripes painted on it and, like, old paintings, and you open the door and it's a brick wall, and you just hear Scott lean into the mic and just say, "Turn around."
and he was totally sold, Chris. I mean, Chris did not. He thought it was just the game. And then there was one time where I just totally blew cover, and I'm like, "Hey, yo, Luca, you got a handful of Luca around here? I'm looking for a handful of Luca."
Because it's like, what is that? What is that?
And John's like, "I don't know. It must have been like an Easter egg to get to the game."
The first time I heard Scott say "turn around," I'm like, "Oh fuck, dude!" And then the second time I'm like, "Oh fuck, dude!" And the third time I'm like, "That's not good, Chris."
So, I want to let you in on a little similar story that I've started to concoct. It's, so at work, we do, like, coding and programming and stuff. I'm not going to get into too much of it. But, basically, I was screwing around with the programs we were using, and I learned how to make it beep. Like, just generate an audio beep out of the speaker. And I'm like, oh, that's fun. And so I just, like, made it go like beep 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 beep. And one of my coworkers, like a desk away, was like, "Did you hear that? No. What was that?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know what that was."
Must have been the wind.
And he's like, "Am I going crazy? I swear I heard like the wind or something." And I'm like, "I don't know what to tell you, man." And then I'm like, "There's something here. I could really gaslight the hell out of my coworkers."
This is the face of gaslighting.
And so I should have been working, but I coded up a program to beep at random times during the day, particularly when I'm not at my desk, to wave away suspicion of me. And I just want to see how insane I can make him.
That is nefarious. That's not
very.
Yeah.
You've garnered so much respect from me.
And I couldn't tell any of my coworkers because, one, I couldn't be for sure who I could trust.
Yeah, they gave up the ghost.
And also, maybe I can gaslight all of them, too. So I tell you guys, because I know you won't tell any of my coworkers.
How will this elevate into you getting fired, is what I'm curious.
Oh, we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out.
Well,
It's like your very own fucking Harry Potter, the source of the beeping noise.
great.
Guys, I'm still thinking about Madison, and I am not feeling okay.
I envy you. I envy that level of, like...
Emotion?
No, like, investment, or... I can't... That's not really the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Fucking shit, what's the word, dude?
Well, we can just cut all this out while you think of it.
Response? Reaction?
No one's saying anything funny.
Where
feeling
you, like,
involved,
buy
like,
in
You
to...
are
immersion?
the character.
Immersion.
Immersion, yes.
I am so envious of your level of immersion, Chris, because I can't do that. I cannot be... The best I'll get is when I'm super into a horror movie, and, like, I loved Nope, but it was just a movie. I could not be a part of the movie. I was just like, oh, that's fun. Like, that's the worst it got.
Chris's level of immersion has not changed in 5 years because I forced him to sit down and play Amnesia. Because I didn't think I would be... I realize now I should probably be the one playing our scary games. because I'll get loud
Just to
about it
move
and I'll react.
forward.
Yeah, and I'll push myself to go forward. But I forced Chris to sit down and play Amnesia, sort of like we forced you to sit down and play Outlast.
Yeah.
And Chris made it to the first time that he runs into whatever the fucking monsters are, and he ran into a corner, did not turn his lantern off because he starts to fucking spaz out and just like seize up. And the monster like walks past the doorway, comes back, looks in, and like it makes the noise like, oh, you're seen, you gotta run. And Chris just stands there. And you see him start to breathe heavily. And the same exact thing happens the first time we run into that like that Nazi scientist killer guy
In
Madison. And like I am Chris's right shoulder conscience, where like you hear the vroom, and it's like oh, you're seeing, you gotta run.
Go, bud, you gotta go! You gotta go, man!
Like I'm sitting beside him and I ramp up. I'm like, Chris, run, Chris, run. And he's like, stops. And he looks directly at him, and you see this guy fade in, fade out a little bit closer. Fade out, fade in a little bit closer. Again. And he's like right in our face. I'm like, Chris, you gotta go. Chris, you gotta go. Chris, you gotta fucking run. Chris, you gotta fucking run, dude!
I was really proud of my performance during that section because it was a Nazi guy with a, I don't think we're allowed to say the word Nazi.
Well, we said it twice.
There's a bad German man.
There's a bad German man with like a gas mask. And
German scientist.
during that whole section, they had to like, go through mazes to get to whatever object or whatever the fuck they were doing. And I just at random intervals would just go,
oh, that was you?
the whole time it was me.
Oh my god! That's good. You did a good job with that.
See, there's a long, echoey hallway I have to go down to get to my apartment.
And it's poorly lit.
Will you shut the fuck up?
Dude, Madison might return to play.
It's all you shut the
No,
fuck
no.
up too.
When I went to go visit you at your apartment, we were walking down that
yeah,
hallway, and I'm
I-
like, why is it so dark?
I'm currently thinking right now of going home and like how I'm gonna have to check.
Do you want me to walk you to your apartment, bud?
No, it's fine.
There's a reason those knees are blue, dude.
Like, I'm gonna have to check under the
knees are
bed
real.
and in the closet. And
Chris, it's okay. It's not real. It can't hurt you.
No.
I know that.
Chris, you want to
I'm
know?
smart enough to know that I am
You're
I
a
am-
child.
I'm physiologically unable to.
This is the longest.
He
it's ever
knows it in his brain, but he feels it in his heart.
taken. Chris, you know what you do? You just do what I did, and you open up all the closet doors. You turn off all the lights. You take your
No.
pants off, and you show that ghost dominance.
We call it Cody proofing.
No.
He's
Oh.
having a breakdown. He's having a
It's
breakdown.
happening.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but he had his like head in his hands the entire time you guys were talking about all this scary stuff.
Well, I didn't expect to talk about that. This randomly came up because I mentioned the Silent Hill demo.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So that's great. I'm glad.
I think you had a great corner, Scott.
It's not even his
It's
corner.
not my
Oh,
corner.
it's not?
No, that's not till next week,
Oh.
John.
Oh.
Hmm.
Well, then whose corner is it?
So if mine's next week, let's go backward. Actually, let's go
Is it
forward.
mine?
Let's go forward because I'm not sure. Let's go backward. Okay, so forward. Chris?
Make sure you open the closet door.
I'll open the closet
Check the
door.
closet door.
Cody's not in it because it's Chris first.
Okay, all right. Let me go check my garage door.
It's
'Cause-
Cody's corner. It's Cody's corner.
I currently don't like that I have my back towards your dark kitchen.
Don't worry. I can see and I will warn you if anything happens.
Better.
I will.
You trust Scott after all the gaslighting he's done to you?
I have no other choices.
Chris, remember
In this
remember
matter.
that one time that like when Blue Knee spawns, you walk out into the hallway and then you see its like head like creep away from the corner, and you're like, "What the fuck was that, dude?" I'm not a
This
good
is
friend.
actually, in a roundabout way, this is a great segue into my corner.
You know, I was about to actually say this is this is me not being able to be cool.
Yep.
Cuz I get my hippocampus and my monkey brain is too detached from the higher level thinking. So it doesn't connect that, oh, this isn't real in front of me, so I can go away from that illusion. No, it's, this is real in front of me while I'm thinking, this is not real. Oh my god, what is happening? No, this is not real. So I can't be cool at all when it comes to anything scary.
Especially not under pressure.
under
Yeah.
pressure.
Not clutch.
Well, I made a realization the other day at a very specific moment in my life. Because throughout my entire adult life, I've just kind of tried to be cool and smooth and charismatic. And I'm not. I've tried.
Hey,
I've
you could have fooled me.
well, yeah, compared to this crowd, sure.
sure.
I've always said you're the cool guy in the group.
And the thing is, I'm not that cool. There have been multiple moments in my life where I'm like, you gotta stop acting this way, man. Cool, like, people don't act this way. And I just...
Do you do the collar flip still?
The collar
The
flip.
collar, you know.
We're not talking... That's so high level cool. That's like graduate school cool. I'm just trying to get out of high school.
Oh.
Still?
Yeah.
Cody, you're gonna get a lawsuit eventually.
John, here's the thing though. You looked at me like I had betrayed you when I said that I always thought Cody was the cool one in the group.
Mm-hmm.
You're the Goku of the group.
I'm the main
Goku's
character.
pretty cool.
Yes.
Dude, fuck yeah.
It took me a while to recognize that I am just kind of like a weird, awkward kind of
Spastic.
guy. And then once I recognized it, I tried to not be that way, and it just there's no helping it.
No, doesn't work.
Here's a story from my childhood.
Oh God.
In fact, this is a Curb Your Enthusiasm moment over 15 years in the making. So when I was in elementary school, 4th grade, I got partnered up with a high school student who was part of this peer mentorship program. And for me, at the time, I was just like, oh, you know, this high school kid just comes over to the elementary school once a week and we go to the library and play like board games or stuff and just talk. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of fun. And I'm get all the way through elementary school and middle school and I get to high school and I'm like, you know what? I should do that. I had such a positive experience with that peer mentor that I should really give back and volunteer. And I sign up for the peer mentorship program, and the person who organizes it, she explains to everybody who volunteered, she's like, so, like...
Was the veil removed from the glass?
John's ahead of me.
That just made me lightheaded.
The person organizing the group was explaining it to all of us. She's like, so, like, this is for troubled kids. This is for, like, the kids we gotta worry about.
Oh, I'm fucking dead.
Okay. So I was already hyperventilating from the scary shit, and now we're dealing with secondhand embarrassment, which is why I can't rewatch The Office.
Well, it gets worse.
Oh God!
It gets worse. Because at the time, in high school, completely over my head. I hear that and I'm like, wow, this is so noble of a cause. I'm like making a difference in a young person's life.
Oh
And no joke, 2 months ago, I was
Wait a
like,
fucking second.
oh no. Oh no.
Incredible. So, thinking about this, I'm not really sure if I, like, you know, gut reaction. I'm not cool,
Mm-hmm.
but I've thought about this a lot.
Cody, I'm so sorry.
So, John and Chris are not okay.
My ribs are fucking burning
Maybe
right now.
take a break.
It's on fire.
Incredible.
Oh. Chris, play like some soft, like little like lobby music while we reset and just cut our audio.
Did you see his face?
His eyes are going weird.
Oh my god. Okay.
2 hours later.
Hi, he's just weeping. He's just weeping.
All right, I'm done.
Okay. Well, that was a great story. I let's just go clockwise here, so I can go next.
Okay.
I question whether or not I am cool. My gut reaction is no.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you guys 2 stories and let you figure it out.
Okay.
Okay.
I got you, bro.
First story.
I need to walk away for a second. I'm sorry.
1 week later.
And that's when I'm laughing when we just keep bouncing off of each other. It happened again.
It's a resonant chamber. You look kind of like John Ratzenberger when you're really laughing. Look at his face. He looks so distressed.
He's not
crying.
He looks like the guy, the internet historian guy.
He's like hard laughing. He looks like. I wish we had a camera.
For Patreon subscribers. So
So that'll be
That's
the first tier.
a solid 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes of them just laughing at me.
This is why we almost get the Rex when we try.
Cody. The last minute was me laughing at him.
So 2 stories.
Yeah.
Here's the first one. When we first got into high school, we were going from middle school band to high school band, obviously. Yeah. And at the end of my 8th grade year, we did like a pre-band camp thing at the very end of the school year. We're like, this is what you're going to be doing at band camp, that kind of thing.
You're a percussionist, right?
I was a percussionist, yes. And we got to meet the upper class. Yes.
Yes.
We got to meet the upperclassmen percussionists, and we the whole band mingled, and so I don't know where it came from.
I know the story now.
I am sweating my ass off right now.
Like, okay, you might not know this story because this isn't actually all that interesting. I don't think I've told it before. I was talking to them, and they were like putting feelers out. They're like, oh, do we mesh with these new kids, that kind of thing. And they were like doing a bit of the upperclassmen like trolley thing. And you know me, like I roll with the best of them. So they're like, oh yeah, last year when we were doing our marching formations, like we did a, maybe I shouldn't say this. Who gives a shit? We did a big D for the name of the school on the field. And we're like, D, like big D.
I think anybody who wants... Are you saying you shouldn't have said it because you don't want people to narrow down where the fuck we're at? I think people could probably narrow down the information that we've already given.
But a big D on the field. And they just kept me like a D. Like obviously joking about the idea that like it's the first letter of the word dick, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, D. Like the 4th letter of the alphabet, D. Yeah. And they're just like... Yeah. And I'm just like, fuck yeah. I got him.
Pop the cup.
Yeah.
I think that makes you part of the cool kids.
And to be honest, at least one of them, we got pretty close. We were good buds. He was like, oh yeah, you're the one who like was like cool during cool. I'm like, yeah, I was that guy. And here's the other story. That was it.
Okay.
Here's the other story. A while ago, we were like driving around town and we had to get gas, and Mom's like, Scott, go pay for the gas. So I get out of the car and walk into the gas station to pay, and it's a lady. She's like a peer, my age, and I'm like pump 7, and she's like, oh, you look upset, long night. You look tired, long night last night. And I'm like, no, I'm just ugly. And she's just like, oh.
Got him with the fucking...
You want to receipt?
Got him with the silencer.
And that's it. Am I cool?
You do have a great ability to just suck all the air out of the room.
Thank you.
Chris, you got any stories?
About how uncool I am?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well. Well, we currently have 2 videos that show that I can deep throat food on the channel.
How deep did the sandwich go?
Not very.
It hit the back of my throat.
I
That's
couldn't tell.
that's the only way I got
Shallow
filet fish
throat.
into my nose.
Bottomed out.
The banana went down much smoother though.
I wonder why.
The thing is though, I constantly feel, lonely. So I will do
Not the
most
word I expected
things
there.
to try to make friends.
Yeah.
So I'll use our channel trailer.
Wow.
That's right.
And I'll be like
That's like-
I would be in the commuter lounge at the college I was going to at the time, the university, and I'd be like to some of the people around me, I would be like, "You want to see a video of me where I deep throat a banana?" And they'd be like, "Yeah," and I'd show them.
That's
the
your
channel
opening
trailer.
line?
and that'd be like, "Yeah."
You had the one weird guy that's like, I guess.
Do you have one? Do you have it right here?
Wow.
I think I can unequivocally say you were the least cool of us.
Yeah, probably.
Would you agree, everyone?
I don't like to put labels on people, but yes.
Yes, absolutely. And it's not your fault. I think it's a product of your upbringing.
Yeah, that's probably very true.
I've talked about this before. This doesn't apply to you. People whose first console was a GameCube are just a bit off. Something's
But
wrong.
mine wasn't.
Yeah, I know. But you give me that vibe.
You're a GameCube kind of kid, huh?
Yeah, you're a GameCube kid.
We
Hey,
had
that thing could have been a weapon.
That's really hard. Because you didn't even have a GameCube.
yeah.
Yeah,
At
That's
our
where things went wrong.
at our great
you
grandparents'
would have balanced
house,
out.
Yeah.
we had a 64.
Hmm.
At our grandparents' house, there was a PlayStation. We didn't have anything until we got Game Boys. At the house we lived in.
You talk about that in the Newlywed Game podcast.
Yes,
That was
Dude,
his
that
best
was
gift.
a while ago. That was the best gift.
A Game Boy Color.
Best gift.
No, it was a Game Boy Advanced SP.
Oh.
Oh, the SP
Yeah, it was the flip.
with the backlight.
Yeah,
Fuck
baby. Yeah, and then we got Pokemon.
There's a talk that this new generation is trying to cancel the Game Boy. Specifically the Game Boy Color.
Why?
Solely because
Game
it has
Boy of
boy
Color.
in it and it says color.
Game person of color.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that thing came out in like the fucking 90s. Who gives a shit anymore?
Who gives a shit either way? It's a fucking console.
Yeah.
It's an object.
Like, fuck that.
Well, Nintendo gave a shit when they made the marketing decision to put the NES in the boys section of toys.
Are we talking about, like, that decision 40 years ago?
Yes, they decided which market was bigger for them, and they were like, boys.
Where's the lie, though?
Where is it?
Well, that's only because
Like, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Were they wrong?
My sister
Well-
never touched my NES.
Well, is that a formulation of the society at large, or is that how we've grown up in a society?
Preach it.
This just got
Slay
too big. This just
Queen!
got too big brand for me.
You cool?
Am I cool?
Yeah.
Chris proved to me today that I'm not cool.
Oh no.
I have a very recent topic to talk about. And it's kind of brought some light on things for me. Cody always bitches and complains about my audio and how bad it is.
Oh no!
And Chris finally explained to me why that's the case. So, like, I'm working on this other Final Fantasy video, right? And when I'm recording my audio, like, I will do this thing where it's like, all right, this is the line. Like, I have my outline, what I want to say. I take a breath in, and I say line one. And if I don't like it, I say line one again in the same breath. Stop, exhale, give it that pause because I know I'm going to cut it out.
Mhm.
And then I breathe in, say line 2, line 3, and so on and so forth till I'm done. And Chris was complaining about Kyle's audio. Kyle, you get to be a part of this podcast.
Great.
About Kyle's audio And I'm like, you should just, like, we should really just talk to him. And he's like, John, you also do a thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, this podcast, I kind of noticed that I was, like, fidgeting with some stuff. And I'm like, oh, the microphone's picking this up. I should probably stop doing that. And he's like, it goes beyond that. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, you are the human equivalent of a pug.
Right, yeah, you do. Like, you said that, that's what I call Chris all the time. But both of you, man. You just snore while awake.
And, like, the thing that absolutely kills me is in this very last episode, the one that he said it was the worst on, like, I would lean in close to the microphone where, like, it would then, like, pick me up as crisply as I could, like, make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would back away, and I would look away so that I would be breathing away from the microphone.
Yeah.
And I would be watching the audio lines to make sure it's not, like, picking it up or anything. And I don't see anything. And Chris is like, yeah, I don't see it either, but it's there. I'll hear Scott talking, and I'll hear this. And he's like, who's... It's John. And he mutes it, and you sound great. And he's like... It's like John has his fucking sleep apnea machine on while he's awake. And I'm like, man... Not only do I have breathing problems when I'm awake, I also use a sleep apnea machine. I am a fucking loser.
Well, this might be an addendum to how cool I am. So, I think I might be an undiagnosed OCD.
Okay.
Okay.
Because there are things that I just hyperfixate on, like the motherfucking crickets. And I just cannot sleep when the crickets are going, especially if there's one close. And I don't know if that's an OCD thing or not. Either way, this sounds like an OCD thing. I genuinely got sick of hearing myself breathe when I was a young boy.
I remember you saying this.
And so I just I don't want to hear this. I fucking hate this. I'm not comfortable when I'm just living. So I genuinely just learned to silently breathe.
Okay, all right. Well, now for reference, let's just get a little bit of room noise of...
I don't want to participate in this experiment.
Do you have another?
For your cricket thing, there was a cricket that made it into my garage, and then eventually somehow fucking snuck under the door into my kitchen, and it made it all the way to my half bathroom by my bed, and like it was loud, and I'm just like, I don't have the energy for this, and I rolled over to the other side, and I just fell right back asleep.
I can't.
You know, I just realized, have you lived in the suburb environment your entire life?
In apartments one time.
Okay.
2 times.
Because, like, for me, example, I have no problem sleeping literally anywhere.
Yeah, I know you fell asleep while we were sitting and fighting each other one day.
And so I think that comes from the fact that I've lived in 13 different locations by the time I was 15. Either staying at my grandparents or us moving to a different place. And all of those are in different environments with very different levels of white noise.
Well, I don't know. Okay. I'm fine with crickets. Just the discordant noise of crickets outside my home. But when there's one cricket, I can just hear him either in my gutter, or he's just right there on my window or some shit, or I can hear him on the other window, and he's just going, and it's not quite, it's discordant, but in a way that does not mesh with the other motherfucking crickets. So I'm just like, yeah, I hear you, bud. I hear you, okay?
I like how you go from this Midwestern, Ohioan person to almost Canadian, the way that you start to get angry.
Yeah.
Also, I interrupted you.
You keep interrupting me.
I've now been for the last 2 minutes trying my hardest to breathe silently, and it's taking at least 60% of my processing
You're starting to sweat because of it.
I've been sweating this whole time since we were laughing.
Well, John, I also have a new story about how and I think it's kind of the final nail in the coffin that I'm never changing.
Okay.
I thought this story would be the piece de resistance of the episode, but apparently that first episode, which was just supposed to be kind of a bit of a throwaway joke, it really really outshined it.
Tickled somebody.
I'm still shaking.
I love and appreciate you more for that than you will ever know.
Well, wait till you hear this. So, on this past week, I went to a baseball game at the Dragon Stadium.
Woo!
I didn't go with you. No, this was a different game.
You went... No, I guess we went last week, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
we went 2 weeks ago. And so this week, I went to a Dragons game with a different friend. And we had pretty good seats.
Not on the podcast.
Excuse me?
That person not on the podcast.
Oh, yes, none of you, obviously. Why would I be telling the story then?
Well, I don't know.
So I went with a different friend. We had pretty good seats. We were on the upper level, front row. And I'm like, oh, we're in
Where'd you sit in comparison? Like, you sit behind home plate?
off to the left a bit.
Okay.
About halfway up the left arm.
So, like,
I guess you could
behind,
say.
like, the third base dugout.
We were, like, right next to third plate.
Oh.
Base.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
call it home plate.
That's fair. You know what? That's fair.
We were right next to third base. And I'm like, hey, we're actually in a pretty good position to, like, I don't know, catch a fly ball
Sure.
or a foul or something like that. Anyway, we had good seats. And, you know, we're having a good time. Normal, average, everyday baseball game things are happening.
Like baseball.
Baseball, yep. And, you know, I'm sitting there. My friend didn't have a lot of experience with baseball, so I'm trying to explain to her what baseball is. I was actually kind of channeling you here for a moment. I basically took all the stuff you told me at the baseball game we went to 2 weeks ago and tried to reiterate it at this one.
I'm glad I helped. If I would have known, I would have tried to make it more organized because I just threw shit out there.
Yeah, well, easily impressed, I guess.
Oh.
Anyway, so we get about 6th or 7th inning, I want to say, and another normal everyday baseball game thing happens. They have the
Kiss cam.
not the kiss cam,
Oh.
but
Seventh
the
inning.
Seventh inning stretch.
it wasn't that. It was the t-shirt cannons.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, no.
And so, you know, the game stops and we go about shooting off t-shirt cannons into the crowd. And so I look around, I'm like, okay, we actually got pretty good seats. I've never caught a t-shirt at any event in my life before. Maybe this will happen. And my friend points out, hey, there are a lot of like kids with their parents around us too. You know, we might be, you know, lucky and they might shoot it at us. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. And so the person with the t-shirt cannon starts coming towards us and she lines up on our section. And I'm like, son of a bitch, she's actually going to shoot a
Oh my
t-shirt
God.
at us.
Oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. Stay calm.
And I'm like, okay. And I'm all these scenarios are going through my head. I'm just totally overthinking just one of the most mundane things. And I'm like, well, if I do catch a t-shirt, I gotta be like
Your
a
kid.
good person and give it to one of these kids. That's the adult thing to do.
Right,
I don't
right.
need a t-shirt, but it would really mean a lot to this kid. They'd be like a core memory experience. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
for troubled youth.
to avoid troubled youth from becoming more troubled. And so the person lines up on our section, and I'm like, she's gonna shoot it at us. And she shoots it, and I'm like, yeah, it's coming right for us. And one of these kids walks in front of me and like stands right in front of me. And I'm like, we're in the front row, so there's like a little bit of space.
Uh-huh.
But it's like not a lot.
Did you push the kid?
And, well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, at this point, like, I'm not gonna fight this kid for a t-shirt. Like, that's
You
Like some homeless bum.
You just fucking swat it down in front of him, down to the lower down.
like one bad shove and he's over the rail.
Mhm.
And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna have to accept that this kid is gonna get the t-shirt. And
No.
I'm fine with that. I would have just given him the t-shirt if I got it anyways. And so I'm standing there, I'm watching the t-shirt go up, and then it's coming back down, and I'm like, wow, she had like great aim. That's like coming right for us. Like dead on. And it's coming, and it's coming. I'm just looking straight at it. I'm like, yeah, it's coming right for us. And I'm like, I'm just waiting for this kid to catch the shirt. Turns out, kid was too short. He couldn't catch it. It's too high up. And no joke, this t-shirt, I'm staring right at it, and it hits me right in the face. Like, right in the fucking face.
So there's a chance some of the cameras will tail the fucking t-shirt. You might have got hit on the face on the
Almost
screen.
certainly there is video of me unflinching, hands in my pocket. I didn't move an inch. I'm just staring at it, and it just hits me right in the nose. I start gushing blood everywhere.
All over the kid.
When you get hit in the nose, do you bleed easily?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Like I could feel it like it just pouring out of my nose.
Huh, that t-shirt getting
My hands are just
really
covered
big.
in blood.
All right. Was she less attracted or more attracted to you?
My friend?
Yeah.
I don't think I mentioned the gender of my friend.
You
did.
did.
You said her.
Oh, I caught it. Don't
Okay.
you worry about that.
Yeah, we
she,
shared a look.
she was laughing at me just as much as you guys were.
That's a keeper.
And thankfully, one of those parents had some baby wipes.
Oh, thank God.
And she's like, "Do you need some help?" And I'm
Is
like,
a white shirt.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." And the worst part about it is my face is so fucking stupid that the shirt just bounced back up into the air off my face over the railing. Nobody got the shirt.
That's awesome.
Yes, baby.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
it bounced away?
Yeah. It bounced to the lower level.
God, yes.
Oh,
And
man.
like I was just thinking about it afterwards, and I'm like, normal people don't act like that. You shouldn't just unflinchingly get hit in the face by a t-shirt with all of the lead up.
Wow, that's good aim.
There is one. I mean, I played baseball my entire life, so like, I see that trajectory happen, and like, my brain already has the hand-eye coordination, and like, I'm reaching for it. I've caught one foul ball in my life, and it just happened to be the day that I didn't bring a glove,
Ooh.
and like, my nephew, who was not ready for it, was like, oh, yeah, here it comes. And like, I remember just like reaching out, and it would have smacked him right in the fucking head, dude.
Yeah.
And like, it stung. It was a pop fly. And like, I just like reach over, grab, like catch it. It hurts like hell. And I'm just like, yeah, cute girl, here you go. And my nephew was like, I wanted that.
Oh man.
So at that point, I'm like, if you're not even going to react, there's no changing. It's just ingrained
That story
that you're
has
just
the-
going to be weird and awkward and uncomfortable.
That story has the same energy as that. You might have seen this, guy. There's some meme where a guy's just filming like one of those bottle rockets,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just filming it, and it launches, and he's like, "Oh damn!" and it hits him right on the phone. He doesn't make a move. He watches it like get closer. He's like, "Oh damn!" and he gets.
See, like, I know that I can't do shit worth anything. Like, I will drop things, not even doing anything with them, holding them with both hands securely and just drop them. So I know that I can't. I can't do that.
I don't know why I put so much trust in this child that I do not know. It was just a foregone conclusion in my head. I'm like, I don't need to think about it anymore. The kid's gonna catch it.
I know if it were me in that scenario and I see that kid, my initial thing would be I'm gonna look like a jackass if I try to catch this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna assume he's got it because if I'm like going whoa, it's gonna look like I'm trying to get it, not so the kid doesn't. So my hands are clean. I agree with you.
So-
I agree with your assessment.
The thing is, though, as soon as my brain is like, oh, here's the situation, I immediately go, well, not going to be in that situation then. Just not. So I don't go to like...
Chris walks to the side. Oh, Chris just doesn't even go to the game.
No, don't go to the game.
This is Chris when a t-shirt cannon is flying straight at him. He's just playing Pokemon.
In his house.
Yeah, at home.
It fucking hits the window and falls into the street. What the hell?
Loonies?
like someone can't reach something off the top shelf at a grocery store. I'm just like, well, I could help, but then I could fuck up, and then like everything could go. I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna
There's a
leave.
non-zero chance that I fuck up so hard it becomes like a domino situation, and all the aisles start falling on each other.
I'm just gonna leave. I don't need groceries this month.
I've always been tall enough to reach the top shelf. but there was one
brag
like
about it.
Walmart that I went to. There was one Walmart that I went to that like I was trying to get like for whatever reason they put like liter-sized jugs of water on the top shelf, and I could not get it, and I was trying to grab it. I was trying to like just maneuver it to the side so it would fall, and I could just catch it. And like as I go to catch it, it bent my thumb backwards and fucking busted me in the face.
What was this?
It was like a liter jug of water. It just fucking smacks me in the face and hits the ground. And I just put my hand on the next shelf down, and I look over, and there's this kid that's just like smiling, watching me, and I'm like, sup? Hey.
So you're the reason why they now have a little sign on that shelf saying, "Ask for assistance."
Probably.
Needing to reach the shelf.
I'm the tall one in my house, and I always get endlessly annoyed when I'll have to like get like crackers down or something, and I'll be like, I don't get the crackers myself. I did not put these crackers away. One of you put the crackers up there, and you're making me get it down. How'd you get it up there then? Huh? Answer me.
See, this brings me to like, so I know nothing about technology, right?
Okay.
I am so technologically illiterate that like any problems I have friends for that. Like I know Kyle or you have any information I need. Scott probably has half of it. I know nothing, but I can read, which apparently no one else in my family can, because they all assume I'm a genius when it comes to anything technology. Oh, he's young. He can get this set up or anything. No, I just read the fucking manual that is given to you.
I didn't want to bring it up, but there was a name suspiciously absent on that list of people in your life who know things.
What?
If you know, you know.
Please explain it.
It's okay.
How
We
did
don't
fuck up?
don't have to. We can move on from this subject.
Was it John?
That's right, Chris. It was John.
Well, he knows other things.
Chris is the one who brings me along when he thinks there's gonna be a fight that breaks out.
Have you guys seen those videos
He has my back.
where like a parent will go up to a kid and be like, "Hey, this guy's coming over here to fight, and he has a 7-year-old son just like you. You want to go fight him with me?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, let's go fight." And it was just cute as fuck.
Oh.
I'm right there with you. Like, I was apparently a wizard because I knew that red meant red, white meant white, and yellow meant yellow on the RCA cables.
What the fuck?
Dude, I'm right there with. Okay, yep,
They're
that too.
color
Yep.
coded.
Yeah, and like we're looking at our parents like, are you fucking blind?
I'm just like, it's got 2 plugins. It's got the power and the red, white, yellow.
We had a television that didn't have the yellow one. It only had the white one.
Mm-hmm.
And so my immediate thought was, oh, it just doesn't use that one. And now, thinking about it now, it's like, oh, that's because it's mono, not stereo.
Yeah.
But like,
I didn't know that.
but like I was like, maybe I am. Maybe I'm a little intuitive.
I'll tell you what Scott always tells me. You don't give yourself enough credit.
Yeah.
I looked at my parents when I would be the person who would like plug in the PlayStation or whatever, and like I tried to explain it to them, and they still didn't really get it. I'm like, okay. And I picked up like the little kid's toy that's like the shapes that you put into the box, and I'm like square, circle. It can go in square, but it goes in circle.
You're right.
That's another one of my favorites. I keep talking about videos.
Yeah,
Just
I know
like
what you're
that.
talking about.
Circle goes into the circle. Square goes into the circle. Triangle goes into the circle.
There's this. Somebody took that and some lady's reacting to it, and she just starts busting out crying.
Yep. I've seen that one. The one that's
Put it in a
duetted.
star shape.
Please. Oh.
How deep are we?
We're at 56 minutes.
That was a good.
Cody, this has been a fantastic.
Well,
one.
half of it's us dying laughing. So
Yeah.
There's a solid 5 minutes of me laughing.
only good B-roll.
Well, if you don't have any other embarrassing stories to share, we could also talk about D&D tonight. We just got done with our session.
Mm-hmm. More reasons why we will never be cool.
I think D&D's. I think it's flip turned.
It's getting a little
It's
mainstream.
flipped
I think D&D's cool.
Yeah, Mercer and Brennan with Dimension 20 and Roll 20.
Critical Role?
There you
Critical
go.
Role.
You fucking idiot.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Uh,
No, I think the big thing for D&D that like helped make it cool is we had the lockdown, so people were like, "Fuck, what can we even do?"
I'm gonna say even before then. I think the thing that made D&D quote unquote cool was first off just like this prevailing nerd culture on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Like suddenly it became like
E-girls.
I think part of it maybe, but also there was in the 90s and 80s. Maybe it's just because video games got better, and so it brought in people who were like, "Wait a second, this is like fun," and then they're like, well, hold on. Like, maybe I don't even just like video games because they're on TV.
I bet you Skyrim and Oblivion also like help push that along.
And they're just like, maybe I just like games. And I think a lot of people who just thought a game was for a kid or a sport, just then were like, oh shit, well, like, this is like fun. I'm a 30-year-old man playing this kid's game,
quote unquote,
and
Minecraft.
so that I think that would actually be really cool, in my opinion. Is to see like a full breakdown, well researched video on mainstream nerd culture.
Yeah.
Because like when Pac-Man came out, and it was like the biggest thing since sliced bread. Like there's a disco song called Pac-Man Fever. Like it became that went like top 10 in the charts because it was that big of a game, that it hit mainstream audiences. And
I'm just imagining like a poor, like a bad Weird Al song over Pat Scratch Fever. Pac-Man Fever.
now, it's actually like Pac-Man Fever, Pac-Man really driving me, whatever. Anyway, it's a fun song.
Okay.
But then like 2008 Iron Man, and then the whole Marvel thing.
Yeah, that's
like
another one.
opens up comic books, and everyone else is like, "What else are nerds hiding from us?"
That's kind of what I was touching on, is like, it felt like people who didn't self-identify as a nerd, and I've always thought, like, even though I will gladly say I am a nerd, obviously, I am a nerd. I have, like, the nerd gene that makes me just allergic to shit. And, there's some correlation there with just not being able to go outside much.
Sure.
Anyway,
Bubble Boy.
Anyway, like this idea of people who don't self-identify as like a nerd or a geek or whatever being like, oh, like discovering this thing, like, oh wow, I didn't think who's been keeping this from me. This is so fun. Playing Assassin's Creed and be like, oh, look at that. I thought the internet was for gays and nerds. This is crazy. And you know, I think there's something to that. Also, I get mad about the people who get mad about like, oh, I suffered to become a nerd. I deserve to be a nerd.
Gatekeepers.
Yeah, gatekeeping. That pisses me off.
Yeah.
It's also just stupid. You're proud of yourself. You shouldn't be.
I've never heard the term gatekeeping for a social, I guess, title. Before.
Really?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah.
there's definitely been instances that I've been around where someone shows interest in like D&D or whatever we're doing at the time, and somebody else is like very dismissive of the person, like, oh, you wouldn't understand it or whatever it is, right? To exclude them from it. That's very common.
Like the temperament I usually see and get angry at is like I grew up a nerd. You're not allowed to just say you're a nerd now and like D&D when you're 30. I grew up this way. I've earned it.
It very much is like this identity coat that they're wearing, and it's like if they lose that coat, then it's like, well, what are they?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that I've seen in the anime community.
Yeah. Sure.
Where it's like, growing up, I was the weird kid because I watched Naruto, and now all of you are watching anime. So what's the difference now? and somebody like responded to this Reddit post like, well, no, you were weird because you Naruto ran in the hallways.
You just remind me of this bit from Funhouse,
Yeah.
where I think it's James and Bruce are talking, and James is talking about Dragon's Lair or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And he's like, while you were like busy in school learning fiscal responsibility, I was at my house jerking off to cartoons.
And Bruce was like, wow, your childhood was so much better.
Oh,
When,
great job.
So every Christmas, my nephews and nieces will come over and build a Lego Star Wars set.
Hmm.
And there's one kid who has still never seen the Star Wars movies. He's never seen Lord of the Rings. He's seen some of the Marvel movies, but not very many.
Mm-hmm.
This
and-
isn't the David ones, right?
No,
Surely
no,
not,
No,
okay.
no. They haven't seen Lord of the Rings either.
Yeah, he has some sort of fixation with
Yeah.
moving that away from them.
Yeah, he's like Lord of the Rings is terrible and boring, and I'm like, yeah, it's a slower story, yeah, but I mean, that's different.
Sure.
Regardless,
You don't understand nuance.
but this nephew made a passing comment that like I saw it, and I just made sure he knew that I acknowledged it. But I was like, okay, I'm like that Marvel movie's over. So what do you guys want to watch now? He's like, I don't care. I just don't want to watch that weird cartoon stuff. And I'm like, cartoon stuff? He's like, yeah, like anime. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what kind of animes do you not like? He's like, I don't like any anime. I'm like, because it's not cool or what? He's like, yeah, that's some weird stuff. And I'm like,
He's not wrong.
I'm like, okay, all right. So you don't know what Dragon Ball Z is? He's like, I know what it is. I'm like, and you've never seen it? He's like, no, and I don't think I'm ever going to see it. I'm like, well, you just dropped so far on my list.
There is with anime in particular, there's this idea I feel where people who aren't into it, and that's fine, you can be into whatever the fuck you want, but people who aren't into it tend to have this perception of it that's like, it's all kind of just the same thing. Like, if you've seen Dragon Ball Z, you've seen Full Metal Alchemist, you've seen Cowboy Bebop, you've seen Evangelion. And that's just not the truth.
No. I mean, I guess, like, if you, like, hardcore try to simplify it down to, I'm literally just watching a cartoon. Like, if you water it down so far that it's not even really, like, anime or, like, whatever the topic is, you can be like, yeah, I've seen every anime.
And I'll stand by what I just said, and arguably every title I just said is in the same genre.
Yeah. You should watch One Piece.
Too long.
Just too long.
Even if it were half the size, I'd consider it. And done. Half the size and done.
I would also maybe. I tried so hard to catch up to it as fast as I could, and I binge watched 500 episodes in the course of a month and a half.
Nope.
So let's see.
Each of them took about 25 minutes.
25 minutes.
Well, hold on.
You can cut out a lot of time because it's like fucking 8 minutes of intro.
It's a full... The general standard... This is how much of a fucking not cool I am. The general standard for an anime is a 1.5-minute long intro, 1.5-minute long outro.
Okay.
But One Piece breaks that rule in half. 2.5-minute long intro. I mean, this is when I stopped watching it, this is the way it was. 2.5-minute long intro, minute to 1.5-minute long recap, 2.5-minute long outro.
What?
So
Yeah.
the episode length was about, let's be generous and call it
And it
16
also
minutes.
It had that commercial time in the middle of it too.
Right.
For when it was on TV.
One Piece, and I said that.
Yeah.
And then it had, like, the-
About 16 minutes of actual showtime. And the worst part about it, I went into it knowing, like, Scott said this, and I kept this one piece of information. And
You're so proud of yourself.
and it was that most of the episode never fucking matters.
Yeah.
But there's one little bit of it that's like, hey, this is important. You need to watch this. And it's always at different spots in the episodes.
And you just don't know if that's the case or not. So theoretically, you could be correct in just skipping 5 episodes, watching the recap of that 5th episode, and be totally caught up.
So, okay. So the whole, like, meme about whole episodes of Dragon Ball being Goku screaming, are pretty much
Well,
true for One Piece.
The meme I see in Dragon Ball is Namek's gonna blow up in 5 minutes, and then 9 episodes go by. Fuck everyone who says that, but also likes One Piece.
Shifting slightly, have you ever heard of a show called Berserk?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
What are your thoughts on this?
I've never watched it, but I do love the art for it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Is
see.
it one of those weird cartoons?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a weird cartoon.
One of these
Oh.
animes?
Yeah, I think,
Oh.
hold on. Say that again?
Animes?
It's anime.
Anime?
To end the story,
Anime.
Anime.
to
He knows.
end the story, when my nephew tried to burn anime one more time, I was like, "Shut the fuck up, dude! You used to watch Power Rangers.
That's basically anime.
It's basically anime."
It's live action anime.
So what is Berserk?
I don't know, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
So-
what is Berserk?
It's a
The-
guy named Guts, and he has a big sword,
Yeah.
like Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
The only stuff I know about Berserk is all of the stuff that gets referenced in the Dark Souls games.
Yeah.
Because the lead developer for Dark Souls has like a huge hard-on for
What's his
Berserk.
name?
Hidetaki Miyazaki.
Miyazaki, yeah.
I think the manga art is better than the anime art because I just love how it looks in just black and white.
Hmm.
I get confused because I haven't watched it. I'm not sure. Whenever I hear people talking about the anime, I think there was a remake recently, sort of recently.
I think I thought it was a sequel.
Well, I don't know, but the thing that confuses me is I hear people on both sides saying Berserk is not so great and Berserk is a work of art that everyone should see. And it confuses me that am I hearing discourse from, like, was it a remake? I don't know. What, are they talking about the newer one or the old one? I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, I know the big it's not really a controversy, but the big drama around Berserk was that the creator died before he finished the series.
Oh,
Just like Ruby.
wow. Well, he wasn't the creator, was he? He was just the animator.
He was the creator.
So
Good for
Yeah.
him.
so I want to create my own card game. So I'll watch a lot of
So we'll kill you before you finish.
yeah. So I watch a lot of content about game creation.
Okay.
And so there was like a PAX East panel thing.
So you get
Can you
the
tell me-
idea
hey,
of balancing.
yes.
Just real quick, I'm going to gatekeep you. Can you tell me what PAX stands for?
No idea.
I know. Penny Arcade Expo.
Great job.
Cool. It could have been that. It could have been something else. I'm just saying PAX because I know that's a thing. And they had one of
Doesn't Expo start with an E?
It does.
one of the.
But it also starts with an X.
He had been the lead game developer on Magic the Gathering for the past 15 years. No, actually, probably 8 at the time. Because Richard Garfield's no longer been a part of the project for a
You're
long
doing great.
time.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Anyway, and he was talking about when designing a card and then showing it off to people. He would have a little scale for them from 0 to 10, right? And you would rate the card, what you thought about it, right? And he was like, so do you create a lot of cards that are in the middle, or do you prefer cards that are at the end?
1s and 10s.
And he was like, always go for 1s and 10s.
Yeah.
Because you want the polarization there, and that just steamrolls into people having interest. And so the whole thing where there's either it's literal garbage or bordering on Da Vinci level art is probably speaks a lot about Berserk.
Wait, are we talking about the
Quality
art of
of
the
the card or
cards,
the art of
or,
it?
Okay,
the
so-
mechanic of the card?
Well, it's just
I assume the mechanic.
so let's say you had let's take Eldrazi's for example, and Annihilator. You have Annihilator, which means that when it attacks, your opponent has to sacrifice a number of
If
permanents
it's like Annihilator 3.
or whatever they
so many
have
permanents.
on their field, creatures or their lands or any enchantments or artifacts or whatever. They have to sacrifice however many. So Annihilator 3, they have to sacrifice 3 things when it swings. That is really strong. So you'll have people saying 10, fucking great, this is amazing, or 1, this is liter's going to destroy the game.
I see. Gotcha.
So that's a good thing. You want that in there. And while here's a 5/5 for 3 mana.
Mhm.
Ooh, 4. Fuck that. Don't need that. Don't need that. It doesn't spark joy or anger. It's mediocre at best. Get rid of it.
See, that's what I thought you meant by
Yeah.
a 1. Is a 1 is just like
Bad card.
a bad card.
No.
He
When
quoted.
in reality,
If it's all 1s, then it's just a bad card. But you want cards that have
Well,
both.
no,
Yeah.
if they're all 1s, then they're all roughly the same value.
It could be like the best card in the game, and they'll say, "This
I
is
mean-
a 1. This breaks the game."
So yeah, 1s break the game. That's basically where Yu-Gi-Oh is now.
really,
Because-
That's how I feel.
100%.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Because
Oh,
like
yeah.
now the only way to make cards that are more exciting are to go dip down that negative at this point. Like it has to be stronger than the already strong cards that you have.
It's called power creep.
Or
But
you
yeah.
add another arbitrary summoning rule.
the crazy thing that's to me about Yu-Gi-Oh is, for somebody like me who knows nothing really about the way the game is now. Back then, watching an episode of the anime and then seeing what it is now, it's just a different game. Like the goal is to win on turn 1.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's to do some crazy summoning bullshit with your starting hand and have like a 4,800 attack monster or whatever, and your opponent can't deal with it. And it's not supposed to go to turns 2 and 3. You're supposed to win.
And like, how is that fun?
That's what I fucking say about the motherfucking decks that you play, right? How is it fun to... That's like the kind of deck you would choose to play if you hate the game you're playing. I want to play as little of this game as possible, so I'm going to make it so that I don't have to play it, and I just win on turn 4.
Or I get to have way more games, just shorter games.
But nobody likes that. Nobody likes to have a short game. They like cardboard chess. You're taking the chess out of cardboard chess.
You're gatekeeping.
I am gatekeeping your fucking red goblin decks. Yeah, I am.
There's a diversity in Magic the Gathering for a reason.
We brought it all back around.
Did we?
Nerd culture.
Oh.
And gatekeeping.
We didn't talk about D&D.
We didn't.
That's fine.
We can wait.
See, I think it'd be cool to once we're out of the
It's not gonna
Astral
happen
Sea,
next corner.
No.
That's for sure.
once we're out of the Astral
Is
Sea,
that a fucking test?
having
It's gonna be a long
a
corner.
I'll get
whole
loud.
episode that is just a recap of the D&D campaign so far.
After we get out of the Astral Sea.
After we get out of
In, like, 3 or
up to
4
that
Well, we
place.
already just recapped during my fucking abysmal ass corner. Like, so like people are pretty caught up at this point for anybody that's interested.
Right. And honestly, after you get out of the
Marbles.
Astral Sea, there's not going to be much left in the campaign.
Oh, fair.
Like you know where
I'm-
the bad guy is.
I'm really excited for the session you talked about that's like a one-shot with our backups.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about Levi.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. In
I
fact, I've come up with a lot of one-shots
Ooh.
of just different
Oh,
jobs that they can
Are
go
we
on.
gonna trade places where when I'm like, hey, I need to take a break from DMing this time, I need to gather some stuff up. It'll be like, I could run a one shot.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be
would-
awesome.
I
Wow.
You
would
can make
love-
however many new characters you want.
That would be fun. I would love if we had like a campaign that we record and had on the channel.
I would enjoy that, but we don't have the capability or the viewership.
Yeah.
Who would tune in for like because we're not gonna break that fucker up into like 3 parts. It's gonna be 1 4-hour long thing.
And there's also like the realization that like now we need to look at the soundtracks that we use. How's that audio gonna sound?
Yeah.
Like, do we have multiple microphones around?
Will
do
we
all
be
bring-
allowed to play it?
Yeah. That music that we play has to
all
be...
that music's copyrighted.
Yeah. So like I could find like royalty free music. Like
It's
a lot
gonna
of the
not be as good.
well actually there's one that actually makes D&D music. I can't think of who they're called right now, but all of their stuff is royalty free.
Well, I have
and
a
it's
solution
actually
to
the
this
majority of
problem.
what I use.
Just whore Andy up, make him make all the music.
We can
Oh,
make our
yeah.
own music, yeah.
Just make Andy learn everything.
If we don't monetize it,
Because
does it matter?
It's
we could
tricky.
still get hit.
Ah, fair.
we were talking about this with Skinwalker as well.
Yeah.
Is it a problem for us to show footage of the
If we-
I don't know, man. I see all sorts of review
So do
shows
I.
So,
and
like,
review videos that
retro-
just show.
Retrospectives are the big YouTube gaming corner thing now.
Mhm.
And,
they're
like,
the everything corner. You
they-
can watch
yeah.
a 7-hour retrospective on fucking Breaking Bad right now.
I've watched... This is gonna... I'm back to being the loser here. I watched a retrospective on Kingdom Hearts, the story up through 3. This
Do you understand it?
It was a 4-hour long video of saying that it said Kingdom Hearts is not that confusing. It's right there on the fucking title card. And it's a 4-hour long video.
Do you agree?
And I'm like, I could listen to this dude talk about Kingdom Hearts for all 4 hours and not get tired of it. But at the end of the day, I'll be like, this makes a lot of sense now. And then I go to sleep and I wake up and I'm like, I'm back to this making no fucking sense.
Can I listen to it again?
I watch those for like cartoons that I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
Like what?
The most recent one was Mission
Look.
Hill.
Hmm?
Mission Hill.
You know, speaking of cartoons, just real quick, I recently watched a video about Moral Oral.
I'm not.
Oh,
familiar with
yeah.
this.
It's a
I think
claymation thing on Adult Swim that was canceled like in 2011. And people, there's been a lot of different videos. I haven't watched them. I watched one, but I've seen a lot of videos just around that say Moral Oral is some masterpiece. You need to watch it. And I gotta say, man, after watching that video, I fucking disagree. It's not a masterpiece. I will fully admit, maybe I'm just too fucking stupid, or maybe it's just a product of me having grown up in an already fairly religious environment. But this show isn't deep. This show isn't like touching some, I don't know.
Child? Oh.
No, it's not. There's several children. Get
There's
touched
not
in
some
that show.
esoteric meaning behind it.
I don't feel it. Like the esoteric meaning is as simple as, hey, sometimes people who are into religion, they're not so great.
Well,
Wow.
you already know that because of like all the serial killers and stuff that you've.
Well, not really. That's more of a pedophile thing. But that's not religion's fault. But it's more about just pedophiles wanting to find themselves get themselves in
kid?
that, but also get themselves into a position where they could be trusted with the child,
Right.
like a police officer, like a priest, like a Boy Scout leader.
Things kind of seem to be shifting off the rails a bit.
Yeah, my fault.
We're running out of time. We're overdue. So, not that I wouldn't love to continue hearing you talk about.
I am frothing like a steaming kettle. I am filled to here. You can't see it, but my hand's high up.
All the way up to your eyebrows.
With House of Leaves. And it needs out. And now other stuff's coming out. Because I can't talk about House of Leaves.
Hey, it's okay, buddy.
And I'm frightened.
Well,
It's going to be a long podcast, is what I'm saying, in the next one.
Oh, it's gonna be a long podcast.
you won't have to froth and foam for much longer.
I hope.
Just a week.
Yeah. But I hope you guys are prepared for that. It's a big old chonky fucker of a podcast.
I'm gonna have it read.
I hope.
will give you my best effort.
I will do my best.
Great.
Y'all take care and goodbye, everybody.
I'm gonna have to practice a lot of breathing exercises.
Yeah.